Ms Patten.
Thank you, Deputy President. And I actually thank Ms Crozier for this motion because I think it does give us an opportunity to speak about the medically supervised injecting room in North Richmond. I have to note that the government has taken a third of the time that has been given to this chamber to speak on this. And I note that, in actual fact, at no point did they mention that the government kept saying no to me when I kept saying we need a supervised injecting room. When I said that time and time again, and you said no. And you said no, and you said no, and you said no. And it was only after I pushed and after... It was only after I pushed, it was after we had a inquiry into it, after I put up a private member's bill, after I finally got the Police Association and the Herald Sun to support it. But however, I am actually very grateful that the government did support it in the end, and I think that what we have seen is it has saved lives. It has absolutely saved lives. But let's, again, not forget how we got to this supervised injecting room in North Richmond. We got there because Coroner Hawkins in 2017 said we must have one. And 3 coroners prior to that said we desperately need an intervention like a supervised injecting room to save lives. In that year, 172 people died in 12 months. And 34 of them died in a 300 square metre area of North Richmond. They died in exactly where the centre is, and that is exactly why we had the centre there. We did not say, let's put a centre over here and maybe the people will come to it, because that's not how it works. Because the heroin market was in North Richmond. The heroin market has been in North Richmond for many years. The residents have been completely supportive of this. This is not a silver bullet, and I will absolutely acknowledge that this is not a silver bullet, but it is saving lives. Like, how many lives do you want to... Ms Crozier, I will take up that interjection. Of course their lives matter, but I do not want to be the person that says that son, that daughter, that mother, that father, that their life didn't matter, that we have done something that will save those people's lives. And I have spoken to the parents who have lost people. I've spoken to the brothers who have lost a sister. I've spoken to children who've lost a mother because of their drug use and the fact that we were not able to intervene, that we were not able to keep them alive until they could get onto a path of recovery. And we know that this injecting room is keeping those members and keeping those people alive. We know that it actually has reduced ambulance call-outs in the area. And the point that I wanted to clarify earlier was that I spoke to Danny Hill from the Victorian Ambulance Union today, and he says that his members are completely supportive of this. His members say that without doubt there has been massive improvements in the area, that they are now freed up to go and attend other emergencies in the area, be that heart attacks, be that falls by elderly people, that they are there, that they also, and this was an unintended consequence and an unintended benefit, that also when they do find someone who is affected by drugs, they are actually taking them to the centre, rather than taking them to the emergency room, So I'm not going to go, Ms Taylor went through all of the stats here, and I really do want to hear from the variety of people here, which is why I won't speak for as long, even though I could, but I will not speak I most certainly could, and certainly on this issue, because this is an issue that obviously I am passionate about. And obviously I joined the hundreds of residents and small business operators when we marched on the streets and demanded that they do something, that we demanded that what we were doing was not enough, that while North Richmond Health Centre has done a lot, and we know that drug use around North Richmond is not something new. It didn't just suddenly occur because we opened up a supervised injecting centre. The drug use has been there, and it has been there for decades. Now, what we are trying to do is keep people alive, and we are certainly trying... You know, there was 3 things that we wanted to do, and one, and most importantly, was save lives. And I think that we are saving lives. So to suggest that there is maladministration when we are seeing people's lives being saved, when we are seeing numerous people moving onto a path of recovery, when we are seeing a centre that has been established next to a health centre. So for the first time, a number of those people are actually, for the first time, realising that someone cares whether they live or die. This is one of the first times that some of those people have experienced that. And I'm conscious that there is mental health and poor behaviour in the area. There was mental health and poor behaviour in the area prior to the centre. This is not the silver bullet, but we know that, as Ms Taylor quoted from Tip Kennedy, the principal at Richmond West, the school supports it. As we know, the experts support it. We also know that this is a trial, and that in 2020, Professor Margaret Hamilton, along with former Commissioner of Police Ken Lay, will be undertaking and releasing a significant review on the effectiveness of this. Now, that I believe that we now need to let this continue. What we have seen, and as the principal of the school noted, she is seeing less drug use around her school. The centre has the effect of actually concealing drug use. We have got thousands and thousands and thousands of people using that centre when they were using the playground of the school, when they were using the car park behind the school. They are no longer using that. They are no longer using that. I am not saying that the situation in North Richmond is perfect, and there are many reasons. Ms Crozier, I'll take up that interjection. That school actually had a protocol for when they found a needle in the playground, that a child had been taught what to do when they found a needle in the playground. Now, that they are not finding needles in the playground, Ms Crozier. They are not finding needles in the playground. And I go... Anyway, to give, because I think I have the courtesy to allow my crossbench colleagues time to speak on this, I'm just going to finish with a few points. That, let's remember, drug-induced deaths are going up. Drug use is going up. We have a crisis at our doorstep. Now, we could do nothing, or we could do less, but that is not the answer. We must do more. And I think to suggest that this place has been maladministered, this place has been working with some of our most difficult residents and community members who have, 100% have got a history of trauma, many of them significant mental health. The police have never alleged that there was trafficking at the centre. In fact, they have stated quite clearly that there is not. The people who were arrested were not staff members of the centre. One of them was arrested without charge. Now, Demos Kruskos, the CEO of that centre, has done an amazing job. He has been the most dedicated person in our public health sector to really work with some of our most difficult people in our community. Demos Kruskos has made a wonderful contribution to this state, and I applaud him. Now, I am so saddened that he had to stand down like this. I'm so saddened that the opposition and that the media forced him to stand down. I mean, only look at yesterday's news when there was a Victorian police sergeant who's been found guilty of a string of criminal offences. Now, did we ask for the Commissioner to stand down because of that? No, we did not. We did not. And in fact, I haven't heard anyone from the opposition say that. Why is Demos Christos treated differently? This is not a case of maladministration. This is absolutely life-saving. And I do want to repeat, as Ms Taylor did, I do want to repeat the quote from the opposition, from their leader. There may have been some lives saved, so that's why the trial isn't necessarily a bad idea. And I think the opposition could do well to dwell on that. This is life-saving. This must be supported. Ms Crozier, that is just not true. There was no dealing in the centre. You can listen, you can speak to the police, who also will reiterate what I have said. Anyway, I do not support this motion.